Hello ladies and gentlemen, Baltmatrix here, and today we are taking a look at ToyWorld TW-T06 Sideload. This is not wide load, or a not throttlebot. Now, for those of you that know the throttlebots, wide load was a dump truck, a bright orange dump truck. What we have here is definitely not a dump truck. This is a bright orange 4x4 armored vehicle. Specifically, this is modeled directly after the Conquest Knight X-V, which is a 4x4 luxury armored vehicle. I will be honest, the thing in real life is one of my, if I were a billionaire, I would buy one of these cars. It's about twice to 3 times the size of an H2 Hummer, and, well, yeah, it's just crazy and awesome in so many ways. But this figure is crazy and awesome in some ways. So we'll go ahead and get into it. The figure comes with a couple of accessories, first of which the crotch plate and skirt, then these knee components, which these bits right here on top plug into his torso mode, and then these sections down here will actually peg into the tops of the green and white not throttlebots. And then we have the piece de resistance, his giant shoulder head component. So this whole section drops on top of his torso mode, forming the head and giving us shoulders that the arms can plug into. And they are fully posable on super heavy-duty ratchets. And once you've got it all pegged in, it's pretty solid. We've got some peg holes here, some peg slots up here, and then these 2 wings here actually hold part of his chest in place. And then the Shinebug mold that when he transforms into his combined mode actually pegs onto these 4 points, or I should say 6 points, back here. So literally Shinebug becomes a backpack. Size-wise, the figure is roughly the size of a leader class from Classics or a current day Voyager. Maybe a little bit in between a Voyager and a leader. It's actually pretty darn big. But I think it works. I mean, considering he's supposed to form the entire torso of the figure of the combined mode, it does work. And I've got Classics Optimus here. I tried to find some others, but they were all trucks, or any other figures that were roughly the same size. I think the only one that really fits the same size or same proportion-wise is, ironically, Voyager Class Generation's Rhinox. Sideload's transformation is one of the most frustrating transformations I've had to deal with in a long time, and that specifically has to do with these rear panel parts. This section right here is a panel, and this section right here is a panel. And these two are just really make this thing frustrating to transform. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. First off, we're going to take the sides here and actually wiggle them away from the body, and that will allow us to lift the entire section of the vehicle mode up and away from the figure, like this. So as you see, we've just removed the front of the roof, the first door, the entirety of the roof actually, the front windscreen, and the door sides. This whole section here just becomes a backpack. It folds up to form a gigantic backpack that just literally folds in and on itself. So to do that, we first fold the windows up, unpeg the 2 sections from each other, which is a lot easier said than done. These lower sections are very difficult to move. Fold up the footrests, and then sandwich them into the backpack against each other. And I haven't really found which way is better. It doesn't really matter, except for these guys. This is where it matters. So you keep the side or the footrest forward and just fold these in on each other like that. And sometimes it's just frustrating because you never know which way they're supposed to fold first, and the directions don't make it clear either. In 2 different points in the directions, they fold in 2 different ways, so that's the best I've come up with. It's pretty much flat, but it really doesn't matter in the long run. It's just annoying. Next, we're going to come to the front of the vehicle and pull the front bits forward, and they have a tendency to pop off their ball joints very easily, so just be aware of that if you do pick up this figure. Pretty much anything that folds up and out of the way will pop off a ball joint, so just be aware of that. Then take the front of the vehicle mode and just kind of unpeg it from these pegs here and fold it down and out. Do the same thing over here. Flip that forward to unpeg it, fold it down and out, and then come to the back. And you can flip out, or you should flip out these black sections, flip them out, and then down to form the feet. And these feet are slightly problematic, which we'll see a little bit later. Then take the entire section here and rotate it 180 degrees. So you've got the front of the vehicle mode as the figure's feet, and then the rear of the vehicle mode with the bottom of it pointing forward as the figure's torso. Starting at the back of the vehicle mode, grab the bumper and pull that away from the figure, and that will then allow you to come in here and unpeg this whole rear section. And sometimes it doesn't like to be pulled away, especially once you've already rotated the hips. So we kind of have to do that. And the reason I do that is it just gives me more leverage. So put the bumper all the way down, come in and flip up the head and the shoulder ports. Then the tires, you would think you would just fold them back, but no, you can't do that. You have to actually unpeg them, and it's impossible for me to show you this, but there is a little peg on the inside of the tire that you pull out and push down 90 degrees. And there. It's a lot easier to say than to do because things do not like to move on this figure sometimes. But once you do, you can then swing the tire down and fold it underneath the head. Once you have the tires in their proper place underneath the robot head, come to the back, and this is where things start to get difficult. To start with, we will first take the rear windows and actually fold them up, and then they're on a double hinge, so you fold them up and push them as far up as they will go. And you see the little hinge in there? It's on a double hinge. So by doing this, that gives us some clearance back here. Then unpeg the upper part of the wheel well quarter panel, and that will allow us to fold out the arms, which, believe it or not, is easier said than done sometimes. Then we take these sections, these are the wheel arches, and we kind of are supposed to twist them so that they are, see, pops right off, so that they are pointing somewhat like this. And believe it or not, as I said, easier said than done, because things just get in the way and you end up pulling off you end up pulling them off anyway. So when you get these pointed up like that, we can then open up and butterfly the entire rear of the vehicle. And as soon as you do that, you see you pop off another piece. This is that rear arch, wheel arch, or wheel well. It popped right off that pin. So in other words, I just have a tendency to pop things off and break them. So then we turn the arms around, fold them out, turn the arms around, and then we try to work it so that when we bring it back up, we can fold these out. And these sections will become the shoulders. So fold them out and flip them out and around. See the double hinge ratcheting there. And then fold that around and fold out the arm. So there's the arm. That's what it's supposed to look like. And then the panel, this rear arch, is supposed to be pointed like in like that. But getting there is, I'm not going to lie, this is the most frustrating part of this transformation, because this piece gets in the way of everything. And there's no real easy way to get it out of the way. Sure, you could turn it and put it like this, and that sort of gets it out of the way for a little bit. But then when you go to turn this shoulder piece all the way around, it gets in the way again. It's just a real pain in the butt. Yes, you can lean it in and it will get kind of out of the way until certain things are moved. But then as soon as you get everything in place, it's in the way again, and you can't quite get everything back. Ugh. See, sometimes this will behave, but most of the time it won't, and it just becomes a curse word nightmare. Plus, there's no tolerance for making a mistake on this figure. If you don't transform it perfectly, you're going to have a hard time. So then we'll put this piece back on, and it just snaps right back on. And then these two pieces will actually connect together, forming like a little transformer Stargate on the back of him. Ah, shoot, it just popped off again. So now that we've got the shoulders and the backpack are back formed, we can fold this back up and peg it into place. And these little pegs on the back of the part where the head is will peg into peg holes inside these orange pieces. So there's that, and that pegs in. Then we fold up his chest plate like so. And then we get to put the arm pieces back on. We'll do that last. Taking a good hard look at the figure, thinking that the backpack should peg in to these sections, I found that they have these pegs that fold out. Not in the directions at all, in all honesty. And even if they are, the directions are so small. The directions are so small in my old man eyes, I almost need a magnifying glass to see. It's kind of crazy, but I do not see these pegs listed in the directions at all until right there, step number 24. It has pegs. Doesn't make any sense to me, but, well, I am old, so there is that. To get those blue pieces out, we first have to fold them in on themselves, take the orange bit and fold it over top, and push it almost all the way down, and then we can reach inside and flip it and then fold it out. Last but not least, take the arms, turn them around, fold out the fists, or pull out the fists, which sometimes can be a little bit of a nightmare. Then the side panels or the window panels will fold down to the bottom of the forearms, thus covering up this hole. Once transformed, Sideload looks pretty good. He's actually got a really neat looking robot mode, even if he is a bit kibbly, which I don't mind the look. However, I have some real problems with the robot mode, which we'll get into shortly. Though, looks-wise, he looks pretty good. I actually like the orange and the blue on the figure. It works really well. It's just a great homage to his original G1 figure. The figure also has some pretty darn good posability, too. And along with Shinebug, Sideload has fantastic light piping. I mean, those glowing red eyes are just so cool. Size-wise, Sideload is definitely in the Voyager class scale. Here he is next to Generation's Brainstorm. Definitely the same size here. As I said, you can get him in some decent poses, but he is a nightmare to keep standing sometimes. And that just has to do with the fact that he's a bit top-heavy. And even though he has nice wide legs, there's a real problem with his thighs. Also, every time you move anything on his torso, the backpack falls off, even when you've got it pegged in. And let me tell you, getting this pegged in is, even with the pegs, a nightmare. And every time you do get one side pegged in, the other one pops out. So there's that. The problems with the figure include not being able to hold his gun all that well, the fists not actually coming all the way out, even though they look like they do. And when they do, they don't lock into place. They easily slide in and out. 3, his hips, or specifically his thighs. There's a connector and ratchet in there for when he goes into his combined mode, but see how much play there is there? That is way too much play in a thigh joint for a combiner mode. Also, his knees have a tendency to just collapse. They don't lock into place when they extend fully from the vehicle mode. His feet are okay, but the fronts have a tendency to pop off their ball joints all way too easily, along with the pieces here that are the side quarter or the rear quarter panels or rear upper quarter panels. And I already mentioned the fact that his backpack, when it is pegged in, does not stay pegged in. Even though he has all of these issues which drive me batty, I do like the look of the figure in robot and vehicle mode. Just getting him to these modes is a pain in the skid plate. At the end of the day, I think Sideload is the weakest of the not Throttlebot line. He's by no means a terrible figure, but he's got so many little problems that just drive me insane. And he's not fun to transform at all, whereas opposed to Shinebug and some of the others, they're pretty fun to transform sometimes. Overall though, you need him for the combiner, so if you want the combiner for the not Throttlebots line, you're gonna need to get this guy. Love the paint scheme though, really do like the colors. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video review. As always, I am Baltmatrix, asking you to like, comment, and subscribe, and please be sure to catch my next video review.